We're live.
Interwebs, how are you doing? How on earth is everyone doing?
I think we have to stop wearing black because we look like two shadows.
Not until spring hits and I've lost all of the weight that I need to lose. Where's Rachel? How's everybody doing? Drop some love in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Nathan is watching, clearly not from the United States because this is evening for him. Yeah, sorry guys, we've had definitely requests for doing these in the evenings. We've actually run them at a couple different times, and believe it or not, this is when we have the most people that show up to watch. So we'll throw the occasional evening session for you, but remember, Plus members, you have recordings of all this stuff too. So jump in your Plus dashboard, you can see the recordings of all this stuff. And today, Richard, what's going on?
What up, Richard? Taking a look at Richard's forehand and backhand today.
Yeah, today we're going to take a look at 4 Plus members' strokes. So a little bit different live stream today, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing in these strokes, I think, are things that maybe you're making these mistakes as well. So hopefully it'll be something that, even though maybe you're watching somebody else's strokes be critiqued, you're saying, oh man, I'm doing that same thing. It's water, I swear.
It's a little bit early.
All right, we still have people flowing in here. I'll give it another minute or two. Make sure you comment where you guys are from over there in the comment feed, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or Periscope or all the other places this thing's streaming to. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel if you're on YouTube, please. All right, we got a pretty good audience flowing in here. So here's how this is going to work, guys. If you've never been on one of these calls before, if you're a brand new Plus member, what these calls are for, you're all probably very aware of our membership, where for $6 a month, we pair you with players and give you video coaching. If you want to take this thing to the next level, if you want to work with Nate and I, have us look at your strokes, have us coach you in particular, you specifically, and then also have access to everything we've ever filmed, all of our premium video courses. That's what PlayYourCourt Plus is all about. So these calls are actually for Plus members. Yes, we stream them live to a number of different social channels, but if you can't make one of these Plus recordings, the recordings are in your Plus dashboard, and we also show you a full schedule of events of when these things are going to happen, so you can kind of plan accordingly. I know a lot of you are lucky enough to have just seen, oh my gosh, Scott and Nate are live, let me go check that out. But if you're a Plus member, you get a full calendar of events. So be sure, if you're not a Plus member, check that out. If you are a Plus member, make sure you're paying attention to that calendar, submitting videos for calls like this so we can look at your strokes. But let's go ahead and get to it. We have got...
Let's go ahead and jump into Richard, since I don't see Rohan on here quite yet, or Ramon.
Yeah, Richard, we'll start with your video here. I'm going to share a screen, and we'll go full screen here in a second. Oh, look at that. Chris says happy belated birthday.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate that, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm the big 2-9. Can you believe it?
Yeah, Nate's celebrating the 85th anniversary of his 21st birthday this year.
Facts. All facts. Right?
All right, so I'm going to go full screen here. We can still see you in the chat, so feel free to ask questions. We will still be interacting with you and obviously answering any questions that you have. But let's go ahead and go full screen mode here. And Nate Dogg, you want to pull up Richard's video here?
I do.
Also, if you would, guys, Richard says he's nervous. Don't be nervous, man. We got you covered. Also, just confirm, if you guys would, that our audio is still good. I'm always paranoid from previous events that you guys can hear us once we start sharing a screen or doing something funky. So comment down below that our audio is still good and that you can both see Richard on your screen as well as hear Nate and I talking. So let's get to it.
I need you to buy me 10 more seconds. Can you keep talking for 10 seconds?
You know I can. Sporting Cube says, hi, what's going on? I see him from Florida. Good to see you. Audio and video good. Carlos, thank you. I appreciate that.
5 more seconds.
Here's a fun question. Can you hear my neighbor's really annoying dogs in the background now? This is a point of contention. I hope he doesn't watch our channel. He probably couldn't because he's outside yelling at his dogs. All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, Richard, let's dive right in here.
All right, so Richard, really good looking strokes, man. We're going to take a look at your backhand first. And I'm just so impressed with what you're doing on court. But let's jump in to the backhand at first. I'm just going to fast forward. The camera got a little bit funky there. And guys, that's going to happen when you send us footage. We'll adjust. So it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. We'll figure it out on our end. So what I want to do here, Richard, is I want to pull in some footage of my backhand and kind of work through some ideas here. The new one-hander. I appreciate your comment on YouTube the other day too. It's been a process, but been working moderately hard on it. I wish I was working hard on it, not a ton.
We really do. We're just exclusively only black.
Yeah.
Film shoots, one-on-one private events, all black.
That's right. All right. So Richard, the first thing we're going to take a look at is on your racket take back. You'll notice here that your racket is pointed more towards the fence. And something that we're going to focus on is that when you turn, ideally we're starting more with the racket head up. I'm not completely up here. You can tell like it's still a little bit angled back. But we're going to talk about why this is important and how it creates leverage over the ball. So as you begin to turn, you'll see that your racket is starting to raise up, but it's going to fall back down on edge. So quite simply put, it's not going to work.
Can you show them visually? I know a lot of people are confused with what on edge means. Can you just show them visually on the screen? Sorry, I didn't trip you up.
So on edge here means, so the racket edge is going to fall. This is the racket edge here. All right. Well, that wasn't a very good arrow. But what I'm referring to is this racket edge is going to fall straight to the ground. All right. And what we're looking at when you come back over here to my backhand, what you're going to see is my pendulum is bigger. All right. So my racket is moving through space much more than what we're seeing over on your backhand, where it's falling on edge. And then you're really having to focus on external rotation through the shoulder in order to kind of get your pace here. You can see that there, you're lifting with the shoulder to get that pace. So let's talk about how we're going to fix it. And I really wish I could have shown you like Roger Federer or somebody else. You're stuck with me. I apologize. We have some limitations on importing
basically the Pro Tour doesn't love it when you snag their footage and use it to make money. So, shocker.
That's right. All right. So Richard, what we're going to talk about here is as you're raising as you're taking the unit turn back with the elbow up, you'll notice that my elbow begins to rotate back behind my body. All right. So there it goes. All right. So what happens here is when I go to drop the racket, my racket is getting out of de-alignment. And so what de-alignment, if you can imagine, the stroke, everything stays on this left side of my body, all right? But the racket is back here, all right? What we want is with the racket back there, you'll notice my butt cap is pointed parallel to the baseline. It's pointing towards the wall. So watch what happens on your backhand here. When you go to swing, your butt cap is facing the ball, all right? And I know that was taught for a long, long time. Right. But what ends up happening is really hard to impart the top spin or pace that you may be looking for.
It's kind of more of a beginner tip too, right? Like I know, Richard, at your skill level, when you first start taking lessons, and I even remember saying this to juniors when they were really very young, first starting, pretend like your butt cap is a flashlight and shine the light on the ball. And that's how we line up our shoulders and our hips at a very novice level. But then when you want to advance on to doing something more serious, more powerful, more spin, then this is where what Nate's talking about starts to come into play. So I know some of you are probably thinking like, man, my coach just told me yesterday to point my butt cap at the ball. Depending on your skill level, that's a good place to start, but you're always going to try and work away from that to generate more power and spin.
Where do you point at the ball?
What's that?
Where do you point at the ball?
The flashlight, the butt cap?
The butt cap.
What did I say? Just butt?
Yeah. No, you didn't. I just was messing with you. All right, so Richard here, what you're going to see here
is that a butt joke? I don't know.
It was. Sorry, it was a real weak one. I apologize.
Good Lord. Happy hump day, guys. We're telling butt jokes.
So as you're swinging out to the ball, Richard, you're going to see that kind of limited rotation where your racket is finishing here. And with the racket moving through space more, we're going to want to see this racket get up. So you can see my racket starts with the racket tip up and it finishes with the racket tip up. All right, so that's going to help you with that topspin. Now, something to address here, Richard, because with your limitation here of transferring weight on the front leg, what happens is I think you're kind of locking your shoulders out. What I want you to focus on is what we'll see in this. I'll move forward through this one. I want to see you on that stepping forward into the ball again. So when you're stepping through here, you're locking the rotation out. All right. So meaning like here we should have the coil through the hips and shoulders. And if you rotate with the shoulders, your hips will follow to some degree. And so from here, this is going to help you getting that leverage over the ball. Really good job with the left hand, holding that back. The finish is good. All right. And so you'll see here, you're kind of holding the weight back. And I'm going to be completely naive to this. I don't know what the limitation is here, but if you could pivot the weight through where you're up on your toe and then you're bringing this foot around to some degree, right? So I'm not doing it here. Let me get it, see if there's a wide ball coming. So from that step, you'll see here.
Yeah, I would imagine the knee bend on the front leg is going to be an issue, but
right.
This still, Richard, the same concepts still apply here.
Yeah. So like what I really like here, Richard, you'll see me on my toe. You'll see you're there on your toe. All right. And that back foot there, I'm trying to hold it back a little bit more, but then it's coming back around. All right. So if you can let that left leg go a little bit, that'll be good. But really the big takeaway here for me is just what you're doing on the unit turn. All right. If you can take this left arm up, you can get that left elbow up and raise the racket up like so, right? You're going to be able to create a lot more leverage over the ball. What are you doing over there?
Sorry.
All right. And that's really where we want to put that focus. So Richard, let's take a look. It's sharp, man. I mean, you got a solid backhand. The stroke looks good.
And Richard, throw any questions here in the chat. As you guys know, we're on like a 10 to 15 second delay, and I'm sure it's going to take you a second to type some things out. But Richard, obviously you in particular as a Plus member with us analyzing your stroke, drop any questions that you have. We've had a couple other questions pop up. Now would be a good time before we move on to the next analysis to drop any questions that you have. We'll certainly answer those first. The first question I got is, this is unbelievable. How do I get you to analyze my strokes? The answer is become a Plus member. So again, these calls are really dedicated towards PlayYourCourt Plus members. That's who we're here for. You know, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, you know, you got lucky and good for you. But if you're a Plus member, you can send us your strokes and we will analyze them for you.
All right, let me find a forehand here. Scott, you got a forehand in this library?
I'm sure somewhere.
I've actually got some.
There you go. You just scrolled past one.
I don't think that's footwork. I've actually got a forehand here.
That was me right there hitting a forehand.
Is that you? Look at
you. Forehand. All black, shocker.
I think we're wearing the same outfit in two different
I don't know
days.
if you guys can tell, but we're sponsored by Wilson.
Yeah. All right, so Richard, let's take a look at the forehand here, man. So same exact thing that we're talking about on the backhand applies on this forehand. When you're taking the racket back, notice how low that racket's staying. So you're actually working a little bit in the backhand as well, where you're working more in this kind of movement where you're going low and then letting it come back through. And it's just not giving you enough leverage over the ball. The big thing here too is like if you get a high ball, if you get a ball that's anywhere up in like this space up above your shoulder, it's going to be really, really problematic. So I'm going to show you Scott's mediocre forehand here.
It's not nice.
And what I want you to notice again is this racket head up. All right. This is just so important because what you're going to see now is Scott's racket falling in a much bigger pendulum to the ball. So Richard, here you can see your racket really is just moving this way. Right. It's like the difference of being on an adult roller coaster or being on a child's roller coaster where like one has limited like drops in speed and the other one has a big drop in big speed. All right. So let me get you in frame here a little bit. think. There we go. All right. So the finish here is strong. I like that racket getting to the left hand. That's really nice, Richard. I do think it can be a little bit higher, right? So what you'll see here as Scott's racket is falling, look how much more that racket drops, right? And so I think what you're trying to achieve is here what we're looking at is like Scott's racket below the wrist. He's Eastern grip, so it's going to be much more subtle than like, say, a semi-Western, but it's still below the wrist. Like, I think maybe that's what you're working to achieve here, but we just want to start from a higher place. But now in the finish, the left arm, I want you to finish. Let's see if we can get another one. We can see Scott's. What'd you give one for? Oh, there's a better view. Okay, so here on this left arm is traveling back. There it is. So there you can see like his elbow is behind him. If you could see his elbow, it's there, right? So that racket travels all the way to the hand going back. And what that means is his hips, oops, that's not what I want. His hips and shoulders are rotated through, right? So if you can get this racket up higher, almost like you're showing your opponent your left bicep, that's going to be an improvement. All right, let's take a peek at another one.
I would think the full rotation, there'd be some liabilities there as well. But still, I think, Richard, like Nate said, you can get that up.
In the upper body.
Yeah.
Really just be specific with that, Richard. It's the upper body. I understand like through the it's going to be limited through the hip due to the kinetic, chain generated through the ground. But I think by staying looser through that upper body, you're going to see that you're getting more spin and power. So like right here, that follow through is relatively limited. If you can get that to climb a little bit higher, I think you're going to see a big improvement. Richard, throw in any questions or comments, and we'll be happy to answer. I know we're on a 15-minute delay, so we'll hang tight for a second.
15-second delay.
15 seconds.
15-minute delay would be tough to deal with. Anybody else have any questions about Richard's one-handed backhand or his forehand here? Or the instruction that Nate has laid down? Drop comments for us in the comment section here as well. How much does Plus cost? So PlayYourCourt Plus, for those of you who are not members, normally is $120. We are running a sale this week, I think. Yes. Man, you would think the CEO would know what sales he's running. Yeah, we're running a 50% off PlayYourCourt Plus membership sale this week. So if you want to jump in there, for only $60 instead of $120. We got that going on right now. Richard says, great tips. Glad you liked it, my friend.
Richard, you know what's cool though? Check this out, man. I was just looking. Like, this is the position that Federer gets into on his forehand with the racket down. That's hard to do. Like you've already, from that position as the racket would enter the slot, that's a great position to get the racket into. I would just really like to see, like we said, that racket tip started up. So right here, you're going to start with the racket tip up, and then it's going to work through that space. But glad you enjoyed it, man. I think those two things are huge takeaways. Like, those high balls aren't going to be an issue like they used to be because your racket's going to be up. You're going to be in a position to swing through those shoulder high balls.
Yeah, solid foundation to work off of. Just a couple of tweaks. Nothing terribly wrong here, right?
No, I'm impressed, man. I mean, I was watching. I was like, this is incredible. I mean, it's
get your face on camera. Aha. Yeah, and honestly, like you guys may have noticed, Richard has one leg. So next time you're thinking you have an excuse for why you're not able to get yourself in the proper technique, give Richard a call, because I think he is certainly overcoming any issues that he has with just one leg and hitting a great tennis ball, getting out there, playing matches in the community. So Richard, you are obviously one of our favorite members in here. We're honored to do a video analysis with you. What do you think? Are you going to do next year?
Do we have, is Rahan?
Jane Hurst says, I'm a Plus member, but I'm terrified to send you my video for this exact reason. Jane, don't be scared. We're not going to rip you apart on the internet. It's all nice feedback, I promise.
I think something to keep in mind, guys, is that players at like a 4 or 5 level and above make up less than 10% of people that play tennis. The vast majority of tennis players are somewhere between like a 2.5 and a 3.5. They make up like well over 90%.
I've said this literally. So I was on the Cracked Rackets podcast yesterday, which is a pretty good time. That was exactly, he was asking us like what our community is comprised of. And I was like, well, it's mostly 3.0 to 4 level players because most tennis players are 3.0 to 4 level tennis players.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get comments where it's like, hey, I'm a 5.0, I play D1 ball, I just got out of school, I'm looking for people to play. And then they'll communicate with us. I'm having a hard time finding 5.0s. And the fact is,
and there's not a lot of them that
there's
exist.
not a lot of them.
I'm having a hard time finding dinosaurs.
You just said
There's not a lot of them out there.
But the thing is, like, being at that level, they do find each other because, you know, everybody kind of knows who the studs are, men and women are in their area that play at a high level. But, I mean, again, limited. Yep. All right, let's jump into the next one.
Who's it going to be? I'll go full screen here.
All right, let's go. We'll jump into Sana's forehand. And this is Rahan, our Plus member. He has subscribed.
Man, he's going to be bummed. I don't see him in here today. If you're not watching, don't forget. Well, you would only see this if you knew this information already, but we'll send him a message and let him know. If you're here, definitely say what's up. But if not, you'll have a recording of this in your Plus dashboard, and you can shoot us some questions next time. So
yeah, I don't see Rocco either. All right, we'll jump into it. I'll share it with Rahan. All right, so Rahan's daughter Sana is a nice player, accomplished player, and he has sent me some footage, and we've gone back and forth a little bit on some of the things she's working towards. All right, so the first thing that we're going to focus on is this racket take back. All right, it's a really pretty form, but what we're going to see here is this racket face pointing up can be problematic, right? So what ends up happening is that racket has a long way to travel and really getting out of alignment, making it tough for contact. So if you were to split Sana's body in half, that is not even close to half. Wow. If you were to split it in half, we don't want to see the racket on the left side of her body unless it's the racket tip that when it enters the slot would enter this phase. So from up here, the swing is just big, so it becomes tough.
For those of you who aren't as smart as Nate, what he just said is shorten your backswing.
Right. But I think a lot of it's awareness. People just don't know where their swing is, right? Like that you just until you see their video.
On video. I mean, even when we watched ourselves most recently, I was like, ugh. Like, I think we all think we have these beautiful ground strokes, and then I got on there and I was like, oh God, that's what I'm doing. But that's what you need. Like, look at yourself on video. You'll see things that you didn't think were a problem.
Correct. All right, so the finish here is good. I'd like to see that elbow up.
Hold on. I'm stopping everything. Cy Defeatus, our man from Wilson, is on this live stream.
Cy,
what's
what up?
going on, brother? Thanks for popping in.
That's our man right there.
Send us some footage, man. We'd love to analyze your strokes. All right, sorry for the interruption, but Cy's our dude.
Yeah. All right, so the elbow up here could be a little bit higher, but as you're working through, what you're going to see, Sana, this recovery. I want to touch on this because I think a lot of people struggle with this move. You'll see that her weight is predominantly out on this right foot, and then she's pushing back. That is using up a ton of energy. So what we should be seeing here is that she's going to kick her foot out and let the energy transfer this way in order for her right foot to land here. And then from there, she can push off on that right foot and get back in the other direction.
I see this all the time. This is not an uncommon mistake. Comment down below if this is something that you find yourself doing, because this is not, I would say I honestly see this mistake maybe more than I don't.
Yeah. I love this setup. Sana's setup here is like really, really pretty. Here we can see this left hand out tracking the ball, eyes locked in, and the hand you can tell like in a nice position. So this is for some of you, if you're looking to get more power on your forehand, I want you to notice something with the racket tip here. Notice that her racket tip isn't all the way up. It's slightly pointed forward, and that's what we see a little bit with the next gen forehand. And that's going to help you. It's just making the racket move more and increase space in order to give it more power.
And to give you perspective, if you don't know what the next gen forehand is, think Jack Sock, Nick Kyrgios, or any other dude that just Tiafoe, anybody that just destroys their forehand, they're doing this.
So from here, we'd be really psyched in this forehand. This looks great. But again, this is where it gets into problems. All right, just going back to it with it splitting the body with the racket head being over on, with the racket head being on that side of the body. That's the issue. But if her racket was to drop here and stay on that right side, we'd be good to go. And so what you'll see here, she's jammed. Look at that elbow, right? And so that's the culprit. The swing is too big, so she's having a hard time getting the racket out to contact, right? And that being jammed is what's making her move through the shot to make that adjustment. But other than that, I mean, Sana's got a very pretty game. You can tell she's practicing hard. Rahan reached out. I think she won her last tournament back in maybe September, I believe it was.
Very, very cool.
All right, so she's working through movements here. I want to take a look at this backhand. I'm not sure. Let me just let this play it. We can just admire Sana's forehand here for a moment. All right, this looks like it's all forehand. So let me go to the backhand here. All right. So the backhand's pretty, but what I want you to notice here, it's the same thing we were talking about with controlling the momentum. So this looks great. I mean, the arms are a little bit in. We'd like to see this right arm a little bit more away from the body. But ultimately, the technique looks good. But so notice the racket face right here, right? This is a product of trying to hold the momentum and not allowing it to overshift this way. And what I mean here is when she finishes, right, she's standing and then she's walking or running back the other way. Let me see if I can pull up. Bear with me here for a minute. I think this is really going to be worth your while. I don't know that we have. I'll look for it later. If I can upload, I've got footage of Djokovic doing exactly what we're talking about. I'll see if I can pull it up here after we take questions and come back to it. All right. But here, what we want to see, here she's going from that left foot to right foot. That's fine. She's late to the ball. But this momentum, she shouldn't be linear here with the closed stance. The hips should be coming around, allowing her to land in this space, right? So from there, that's not bad, but it should really be with the other foot. Okay. Let's see. This looks like they're going back. And so, guys, and these are great. Like we're so happy to have the videos that we have. When you guys send in videos, make sure that if it's something specific on a forehand or backhand, right? Just show us the forehand, and then show us a video with the backhand or the serve. A lot of times when you're running drills, it's tough to like really get eyes specifically on something because we don't know where they're at in the drill. This could be the 10th ball, the 30th ball, who knows, right? All right, but let's just go back to this backhand here. Now that we're outside of the movement, eyes really good at contact. We love seeing this, right? You can see the eye zeroed in, Sana. That is fantastic. All right, but watch this left hand. Scott, you seen this with the left hand?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this left hand is breaking, right? So what that means is that she's got too much tension and she's focused on getting over the ball, and you can see that shallow follow through. We really want to see the shoulders up here, the elbows up here. So how do we fix this? All right, so when she's coming through the swing, we want to see this racket dropped into this position. All right, you think she called it dipping it in the pool?
Yeah, my very simple brain came up with the idea of thinking like you're going to take the head guard of your racket and dip it in like a little baby pool that's on the ground behind you, and then think about flicking the water from that head guard up at the ball. That's how I would coach it if I was on court with you, Sana.
Yeah, so right there where the left hand's breaking, it's just breaking a little bit too early. We want to have a little bit more of that linear strike out to the ball. I think that could be a product too of being late. And that's what I was saying going back to the drill. Sometimes we don't know exactly how far she's running or where she's at in the drill. She's late to the ball, although contact is good, meaning it's middle of the strings.
It's pretty jammed up.
She's pretty jammed up. And that could be why she's coming over with the left hand too.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want these. Can you freeze framer at contact again real fast?
Back on the back end?
Yeah, and guys, drop some questions in here. I'm looking. We're actually on a 27-second delay. I've always been curious, and I just looked at our Facebook live stream, calculated it out. So they have 27 seconds before they hear us, which is a bummer.
Okay.
So yeah, what I'm looking at here, these two bent elbows, I'd like to see way more extension out in front. One tip, and I'm gonna show us here again real quick. One tip that I think may help is really relax both your arms, put them both up in the air, and then just let them fall to your sides, and then flip that racket over to the backhand side. So basically you've got your arms down almost at your sides, then just flip that hand over to your racket side. You can see my arms are still straight down in the backswing, and I'll back up a little bit so you can see this here. But it's the difference between this versus the jammed up contact that we're seeing right now. So just think about relaxing those arms, especially as that racket comes through, to create what's almost an extended straight left arm at contact.
All right.
You want to go back to full screen here? You're looking for Joker?
Yeah, it's not in our locker. It's in all our videos. So I'm afraid.
Okay. Oh, like on this device?
Yeah. So
Try it. This may or may not work. Hold, please.
Videos on device. Oh, it's because of your device. I have to download
Here,
it.
it's in the locker. We can download it in like 10 seconds. Is there anything in here society shouldn't see? This is Keith, one of our one-on-one live students. You see it in there. You can just click on it and download it.
I'll be at the bottom.
There you go, right here.
Yeah, so that's the forehand, but that's not the one
That's
I'm
not what you
looking
want.
for. You can download it from here. Let's jump on. Well, guys, go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. I really want y'all to see this particular video.
You don't have it in the locker here somewhere.
Yeah, but I can download it right now. Check this out.
Nothing more entertaining on your Wednesday than watching Scott and Nate fumble with technology. It's not this right here, super slow-mo forehand.
Mm-mm.
You gonna download that into the locker?
Let's take a peek here.
Tell me when you want them to see full screen. That should download quick, and then you can pull it into. All right, I'll go full screen here.
So this is content of our boy Ian Westerman.
At Essential Tennis.
I believe.
You can kind of see. There you go.
So Richard, going back to what we were talking about before, look at this. Look where this racket head is, where he's starting the racket up. All right, that is so important, guys. All right, and then from there, this is where the racket enters the slot. So you'll see that it's not straight at the ball. It's a little bit off to the side. But for you guys that are curious, like what forehand you should be copying on tour, I would say Novak because it's the most traditional. It's a very modern forehand. All right. This isn't the video with the backhand that I wanted to show, but I think this is good reference to where we're showing, going back to Richard there, where we're talking about the forehand. All right. I'll mess with that in just a moment. Let's jump to Rocco. Do we see, is he on yet?
Rocco, if you're here, bark twice. Or comment on whatever platform you're watching this on would probably be more useful. Good news is Rocco is a Plus member, so he will have access to this in his dashboard later.
All right, well, let's jump into it. I'll find this in just a moment. We'll go back to what we were talking about. But so Rocco's a nice player, a little bit more advanced. And here, this is so wild. This is super cool. It's like a wall under a bridge.
I'm going to, Rocco, apologies. I'm going to light you up here a little bit. So for those of you guys, Plus members that are sending these videos to us, best case scenario, can I steer here for just a second?
Sir.
I'm just going to grab some of the footage of like one of the private students we filmed. Best case scenario would be, and this is our boy Keith, who we just worked with, would be that you've got a straight angle down the sideline where we can see from feet to head. And then as we move forward, you'll see we've just got we can do anything from here. We can figure out everything that's going on. And in this same angle from directly behind, that's really what we're looking for. So when you guys go to film these, I know a lot of people ask, like, I don't have any idea how to film. What we're always looking for is a back angle and then a side angle pointing to the side that your face is on. So as you can see here, we can see Keith's face from the other side. This wouldn't be nearly as useful, but this is what we're looking for when we ask for your video footage. So Rocco, we'll do the best we can, man, but this is admittedly not the most desirable camera angle, but still some things we certainly can critique. So now that I've yelled at you, we'll let Nate be nice.
All right, so Rocco's got a really nice looking forehand, as you can see here. Good movement, working off the wall, guys. If you
can you punch in a little bit?
Yeah, guys, if you have access to a wall, man, it is like one of the most valuable tools that you can be working on.
Unless you're part of the PlayYourCourt community, and now you don't need walls anymore because you have friends.
That's right. All right, so here, very much so, next gen forehand. He's leading with the elbow back, as you can see here. And as the racket is moving through, it's a great weight transfer moving out to the ball with a really nice finish. All right, so let's talk about how Rocco can improve this.
How are you going to fix that? It looks pretty good.
Yeah, so the first thing I want you to take notice of is what's happening with the left hand here. All right, so the line of sight's a little bit rough, but this left arm, you'll notice how low it is. So for you guys out there, what you want to do is, I'll go back to Novak since we just found his footage. You really want to make sure that you are keeping your left arm above your right arm. Or Scott, I can even go to yours. It's not nearly as good as Mr. Djokovic's, but I can.
That's not nice, but it is true.
Right, for sure.
I think you just scrolled past one of me with Keith you could use, potentially.
I think I got you now. There you are. All right, so what we're talking about with this left arm is what you'll notice is Scott is keeping his left arm out, and that through contact, you'll see that left arm is staying higher than the right arm, okay? And this is really important because this is how you're going to stay stable and keep the swing nice and stable through the swing. All right, so let me see here with Rocco again. See how this left arm
pulls down and away, yeah.
Yeah, pulls down and away. That's where I'd start pulling the attention. And so here, because he's pulling off of the ball, his racket is coming around. You can see that the follow through, although a little bit more like a buggy whip, the buggy whip is the result of being late on the ball. Okay, and that's where it becomes problematic. So a little bit better job here with the left arm, racket below left. So that's improved. But let's take a look at the front view, and then we can really. Oh, I knew it was going to happen.
Unreal. What did you do?
I swiped.
Oh my gosh. It's a good thing I closed all the nasty emails I had about you.
There it is. So let's check this out from the front here. All right, so here we can really see that left arm pulling off the ball. So that left arm, guys, when you're hitting your forehand, you don't want your non-hitting arm down by your waist here. All right, you want it higher than that. You want your left arm tracking above the hitting arm as it comes through. Right, so it's just too low there. That's why we were looking at a moment ago. You can see Scott here. It's almost as if he's catching the racket head at the finish, where things are staying much more level.
Probably worth addressing too. One, I have a very unexaggerated knee bend because I have knee issues. So if you're looking at my footage here saying, why don't you bend your knees because it hurts? I also have an Eastern forehand grip, which most would consider kind of old school. It certainly looks like you're using the semi-Western. But the Eastern sort of lends itself to a higher follow-through, I think.
Yep. So, Rocket, this would be the big move I'd make. Here, I'd like to see that right foot a little bit further out, right? Because you can tell you're on that right foot really early here. And then that left shoulder, left hand, keeping it up. So instead of it being here, ideally, we'd be operating with it more up here. Okay. But Rocket can play.
Yeah, he can hit the ball. I also wonder, too, when you're hitting against the wall, that thing comes back quicker. So I do wonder if the if the technique is being messed with a little bit because he's losing some time.
I think it's likely.
All right, who's next?
All right, let's take a look here. Guys, if you have any questions, anything you'd like to comment on, feel free. We'll pause for just a minute. We'll watch Rocco hit some big forehands here before we start with the next
analysis here.
I like this little Federer hop here. Check this out. Yeah, Rocco.
I mean, you got some good footwork on him too.
Yeah, look at this. Little lift and land. Yeah, that's very Federer-esque. Little lift land there. So this is actually a better perspective of what we're looking at. So like we said, the next gen forehand, great loaded. That left arm just opening up a little bit early.
You can see your hips and shoulders kind of open up like a door when that left arm drops too. So it's like the left arm is the front of the door, and of course it's going to pull it open when you drop it.
Yeah. Other than that, I got nothing bad to say about that forehand, my man. Well done. All right, so let's move on. Last but not least, we are looking at Eduardo. Eduardo here. All right.
Eduardo, I'm going to yell at you again. Side view down the down the baseline would be our preferred angle here to critique you. Back straight from behind you would be beneficial too. Again, we'll do our best. We still have some stuff to give you here, but if you want us to really help you guys out, those are the two angles that help us film the most efficiently, or excuse me, help us analyze the most efficiently.
All right, so Eduardo,
you're nice because I'm just mean to everyone.
Nice.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so let's take a look here. See if we can punch out a little bit. We'll come back to these backhand and forehand. Looks like it's a good practice group out here.
And I shouldn't be too hard on them. I'd much prefer you throw a camera up than not film this at all. A lot of you are scared to send us your videos. We have like, what, 585 or 600 so plus members.
Yeah. All right, so first things first, Eduardo. This is called no man's land. Okay? Because no man or woman should ever be found in this spot. And I get it. Maybe your friend was having a hard time keeping it deep, but it's way easier for us to move forward than it is backwards. So let's get you started back. So what we're going to see here is on the forehand, nice take back. We'd like to see this back a little bit earlier. All right, but what you're going to see is...
Can I get a point of reference there too?
Yeah.
Because I remember a lot of my students would always say, what does earlier mean? Like, we know earlier than what? So a good point of reference for you guys who are questioning whether or not your racket is back early enough, if you're not rotated where that racket is, where it's going to be before it drops into the slot, when the ball bounces on your side of the court, then you're late. So when we say get your racket back earlier than what? Earlier than when the ball bounces. So you can see here as the ball comes in, we're just still getting back, right? So ball's bounce, it's coming towards us. We're still pulling that racket back. We're just out of time. There's not enough time to do all the things we want to do if the racket take back is that late.
All right, so we're going to do some side-by-side again. Let's check this out. I think I saw...
Not me again.
No, I think I saw...
we could look at your stupid forehand.
How about we look at Dominic Thiem's instead?
That looks like a serve.
It is. Let's check this out.
Oh,
he's going to hit a forehand. All right, so what we want to see here is...
You even found the same angle. You're like a tech genius.
Yeah, said no one ever. All right, so Eduardo, same thing we were talking to Richard about. What I want you to notice is this is Thiem's old forehand where it's next gen. Forget all this. I'm not worried about where your racket head is. But what I do want you to notice is what happens here, right? So what you're seeing is that he's leading with the butt cap to the ball and the racket is in the slot. What's happening with your forehand quite a bit, if you're lacking power or spin, is you're going to hit a volley here. So let me move forward. Here we go. So here you can see that your racket never gets into this position. All right, and this is where a problem lies. You're really using an abbreviated stroke from the side of the body. We really want to get that racket back. All right, by getting that racket back, you're going to be able to create a lag, which is going to give you a lot more power. So what is the lag? So here, Team's hips and shoulders are rotating, and his racket is lagging behind that rotation. All right. So when it catches up to that ball, it's absolute maximum velocity finishing through. And the arm is simply pronating. So guys, when we talk about pronating, it's not something that we actively want to force. What's happening is that team's arm is getting through extension, and the weight of the racket is starting to pull over this way, which forces pronation. All right. His hand is super, super loose. All right. So I'm going to fast forward here. Eduardo, I know at one point here you're hitting by yourself now. This is what we want to see. All right. So again, this forehand, it's a little bit better with the lag here. All right. So that is improved. All right. But you're definitely like ushering and lifting up. Maybe here, it's hard to tell what you're doing, but when you're stepping forward with your right foot right there, you're locking out your hips. Ideally, you're stepping forward with your left foot on this ball, and then you're letting that racket come all the way through. But let's talk about something really good that you're doing. Guys, right here, that is what a perfect follow-through looks like. Remember earlier we were saying the left arm is up as if he's showing his opponent the bicep? That follow-through is immaculate. All right, so let's move forward a little bit. Let's see if we can't find a backhand here. Still late, hovering inside the court. Guys, your safety base, so if you don't know this, you should be here in the court. All right, at least a foot or two behind the baseline. Again, because it's way easier to move forward than it is backwards. All right, let's see if we can get a backhand here.
You want to get rid of your split screen?
Yes, I do. He's got swing vision in it. I would check that out. Guys, leave us a comment. If you've checked out swing vision, let us know what your thoughts are on it. So here you can see like that top spin was at 35 miles per hour, and that's because there wasn't a lag. But it looks like we've mostly got forehands here.
Is that an app? It's a phone app?
Swing vision. So
and it can tell him that it's 35 miles an hour?
Apparently, yeah. And a minute ago, it told her that his partner was hitting a feed.
We do not have an affiliate deal with Swing Vision, by the way. I don't actually know if it's good yet or not. So for real, if you've used it, let us know.
So this is interesting, Eduardo. The inconsistencies with the game is because you're not doing the same thing consistently. Here, the racket is up. Right, this is better. Racket head is up. Right, racket got into a better position.
I'll tell you why too. Racket head is up because there was time for the racket head to be up because the preparation started earlier.
Yeah.
Right. So as I see that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he has a loop when there's time, and then when there's not, well, there's not.
Here's a backhand. Let's talk about the backhand, and then we will move forward. So good little racket drop here. I like this weight transfer too, Eduardo. So you're going from that back foot to the front foot. That means the weight is shifted forward. And it's a nice clean finish. And the pivot of the hips. Eduardo, you should be hitting more backhands.
But I'm guessing the advice we have: run around your forehand and just crush a beautiful backhand.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're showing us your forehand because that's what you wanted to work on. But I'm not going to pick on the backhand. The backhand looked good. Just spacing issues, but ultimately it looked good. But I think that should do it as far as analysis. Let's open up. If anybody has any questions, Scott, if you want to talk, because I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, I think it might be nice to just recap for everybody while we wait for the delay for the questions here. Common themes that you saw. So, because we looked at I guess 4 forehands today, right? What would you say? Is there a common theme where you're like, man, rec players are making this mistake a whole lot, even if you didn't see it on camera today? Is there anything that just jumps into your mind where like, man, I wish I never had to say this again as a coach because I have to say it so often?
Yeah, I think a big piece is that you're holding it back, right? So what is the beauty of the game, and what do we see at a higher level? Is that they know how to use energy. They're working the kinetic chain is being derived from the ground up. They're loading the legs, and then the hands are just super loose. I mean, like this motion here is not a whole lot different than how I'm going to hit a backhand, right? I think Cliff Drysdale once said,
goes in the net when you go like this.
Yeah, I think Cliff Drysdale once said you should be able to, hit a forehand or backhand the same way that you would sip your tea. That there shouldn't be a lot of energy going into it. So with that being said, we're holding back, right? We're trying not to miss. So what we want is this license to drive, and what's the license to drive is topspin. Right? If you're going to hit hard, you've got to have spin. So one of the things that we saw is a lot of rackets starting down. Come on, little racket. Right? So that they're going straight down here. And we really want to see the racket starting up. And then this racket dropping.
I can't take you seriously right now.
Is what creates this big leverage to the ball. So we want to see the racket up. I would say that's the biggest thing that we saw on the forehand. The second thing we noticed is that people were late a lot.
Yeah, and what about that racket on the wrong side of the body? We saw that, I think, 3 out of the 4, right?
Yeah.
2 out of the 4.
Two of the 4. So with the racket being on the wrong side of the body, it's just that's a more advanced problem. Her swing, she's not having any problem getting the racket up. It's just getting too far back behind her. We really want to try to keep the racket on the same side of the body so we keep it on the tracks. Otherwise, we're also going to have timing issues, which can lead to deceleration and issues with creating topspin and power. Those are the big words, topspin and power. It's what everybody wants, right? But you can't have power without topspin.
That's right.
I guess you can hit really flat. You hit really flat.
Like Scott.
You don't hit the ball very hard.
That's not nice, Archer. All right, guys, drop some questions down below before Nate and I get in a fist fight. Is there anything else you want to say, particularly about the one-handed backhand? I know we filmed some content on the one-handed backhand lately. I know it's just hard to learn. Like, I can coach it. I still to this day have like a 3-5 level one-handed backhand.
Yeah. I think the big thing with the backhand is that you've got to let it go, and you've got to focus on the starting points and the finishing points. So again, with my racket, starting points, I want the racket moving back with my left hand, right? So for you guys that have been watching where I've been working on a one-handed backhand, I'm taking the racket back, and I'm taking it back with my left hand. So the left hand is what's doing the work, right? And I'm keeping this elbow up. So I'm keeping this elbow up, right? And then this is building that pendulum that's allowing it to be released. Now, as it's releasing, here's the biggest takeaway that we haven't talked about. We're going to talk about this soon on a video. But we were talking about how much of the low to high swing path has to take place. But what we're really focused on is when we're swinging up, I need to be in screen here. Move over. I need my racket. I need my racket to be up. So it's like from there, it's like, look at that launch point. It looks like it's going to be out. But it then turns and comes around. All right. So trust it. Let it go. Start high, finish high. Those are the good things.
We do have a couple of good questions here. So let's see here. Christine is asking to elaborate. So when you were talking about the flashlight with the butt cap, elaborating more on why you don't want to point the butt cap. Give me the little racket. Basically, why this is wrong and why this is right. It seems like she's just looking for some clarification.
On the one-hander?
Yeah, the question is on the one-hander. Why should the butt cap not face the ball? Like, remember we were talking about how, and it's common instruction. Like I would be willing to bet a lot of you guys watching this have heard, to track the ball and you want to hit a backhand, make sure you point the butt cap at the ball, to line your hips and shoulders and yada, yada, yada. So she's asking, why would I not do that?
Yeah,
why would I pull further?
Grab one of your rackets.
All right. Oh, I do have one right there. No strings.
You need one strong, huh?
No, thanks to Wilson, we have all these new news.
All right, so guys, when you're here on the ball, what ends up happening is that a lot of times your power is being derived simply when you're dropping on an edge is with this external rotation. It's just this, and there's not a lot that can be offered. It lends itself to problems of opening up too early, right? So what I want to focus on is that when I get my arm back and I get the racket here, I get into the slot and the racket is pointed out. Now it does this. It's this flip, right? But think about how this is traveling. It's going up, it's going around my hip, and then it's turning out to the ball, right? So that is the shape of the stroke that's really giving you that easy power. I see a lot of backhands that go like this, and then they struggle. And they're like, I can't, everyone's killing my backhand, because all they can do is swing up, right? And you're lifting the scapular and the muscles surrounding the shoulder are being engaged to force up. Is it easier for me to consistently do this, or for me to consistently let my arm fall? All right, like letting my arm fall, I could do 100,000 times and not fatigue. I don't know how many times I would do this without my shoulder getting really, really tired. So that is why.
If that helps, or if you have any other questions, certainly comment down below. We can answer away here. What else? Let me see here. Okay, this is, I think this will be useful. So this is from Christina Hurst. Christina is just asking us, what's the best way to go film my strokes? I think this is important to address because I know a lot of you guys watching this are in our Plus community, and one of the advantages is you get to sit in your videos and we critique them like this. So the best way to film, believe it or not, grab an iPad or even just like your iPhone, set it on a tripod, or if you can get a buddy out there, I guess you really need 2 buddies or a ball machine. But ideal, and I'll show you. Share our screen here. So I'll just show you guys. I'll go full screen so you can see better. So when we work with a private client, we do all the filming, obviously. If we're working on a serve, we're going to have an angle both from behind, square directly behind the player, so we can see everything that happens with the racket drop. We can see everything that happens with the butt cap, contact point, everything. So full head to toe and all the way up to where contact would be in the case of the serve footage. We also would have, and I don't know if I have any of these on my laptop, but we would also have footage of him from the side, more of a side view, like what you're going to see when we're looking at his forehand and backhand. Now, we were here live with the student, so we obviously in real time could stand behind and see what was going on. Nate would feed, I would stand behind, or vice versa, and see what's going on. But if we've never met you before, we're not on court with you, those are the 2 angles that we need when you're hitting ground strokes, serves, volleys. We need that straight behind angle, which we just showed you for a serve, and we need that down the baseline from the side angle where we can see your face. So for Keith here, for example, we took a lot of additional footage here because we were looking at a lot of different things live. But when Keith was hitting backhands, for example, this down the line baseline view where we can just see everything that's going on, you know, from head to toe, that's what we're looking for. So when you get out there, it doesn't have to be anything, crazy tech complicated. I think a lot of you guys are thinking, man, I got to get out there with like the sophisticated camera, an iPhone, an iPad, your laptop, anything. Just get the camera angles right, a tripod or somebody to hold it steady. And then just those 2 angles, and we've got everything we need to critique your strokes. All right, I think that's probably about it for today. We've got about 1 minute left here. We will not see you guys for a couple weeks. We get the holidays coming up, so we won't be here for Thanksgiving. But jump in your Plus dashboard and see the upcoming live trainings we do have in December and January. And if you want your strokes critiqued, don't forget inside your Plus dashboard, there's a place there where you can submit video as well. So submit your videos, preferably in the way that we just showed you. And if you're on this live stream and you're not a Plus member and you're thinking, man, like this Plus thing sounds pretty cool, I would love for Nate and Scott to analyze my strokes, head to PlayYourCourt.com and pick up the Plus membership. We will, yeah.
Can they submit, if we had a question earlier, someone really didn't want us to share it, but they wanted their strokes analyzed as a Plus member, can I share it privately?
Absolutely. So yes, that is a thing. We know not everybody wants to be broadcast on the internet. So we do provide video analysis without sharing it with the entire universe like this. So don't be scared. When you submit it, we give you instructions. There's a place for you to put some comments and tell us, you know, hey, please don't share this on the interwebs. And we will, of course, be respectful of that. Anything else you want to say to the internet before we break for Thanksgiving?
Hope you all have a very blessed holiday. We will see you after Turkey Day.
That's right. Happy Thanksgiving. Eat a bunch of turkey for us. See you guys.
See you guys soon.